However, in order for it to continue functioning, the human body needs fuel. God made the human body as a beautifully tuned physical engine that possesses great power. The question is, then why would anyone choose to do so? People who abstain from eating are said to be dieting, and they typically do so in order to reduce their weight or for health reasons. On the other hand, some people practice fasting for religious reasons. The term fasting is used to describe something inside the Bible. In order to accomplish a spiritual objective, it is common practice to observe a fast for a predetermined amount of time. When Jesus told his disciples, "When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others that they are fasting." Matthew 6:16-18. Jesus said, "When you fast, remember that you are not fasting. There is no doubt in my mind that they have been fully rewarded for their efforts." 17:18. However, while you are fasting, you should apply oil to your head and cleanse your face. 18. So that it will not be obvious to other people that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you for your fasting. When you give up food, whether it is something you love or something you need, you bring God's attention to you. As far back as we can remember, Jesus cautioned us against showing off our fasting. His disciples were cautioned by Jesus not to fast in order to gain popular notoriety. Due to the fact that he states, anytime you fast, it is clear that he considers fasting to be a valid form of spiritual practice. To temporarily abstain from a bodily demand, typically for food in order to fulfill a spiritual need, is what we mean when we talk about fasting. Instead of eating, you devote yourself to praying in private, asking God to intervene in the things that are happening in the kingdom. You undoubtedly find the idea of going without meals for any period of time to be somewhat terrifying, especially if you have never tried fasting before. Others have various concerns such as whether or not they can take a stand. It is not in their best interest to set out on a journey that they will not be able to undertake. There are some individuals who are apprehensive about how their friends will view them if they choose to fast. Uncomplicated is the response. Fasting is not something you do to impress your friends, and in most cases, you don't even tell them about it. Jesus said, "When you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." This is in reference to the fact that Jesus said this. 17:18 of Matthew's text. The message that Jesus was trying to convey to us was that we should not make a public display of our devotion to God. On the other hand, fasting is a private commitment that you make with God just for yourself. In privacy, you are able to abstain from eating and drinking. There will be other occasions when you will take part in a public fast, like as when you are with your churches or with another person. The biblical practice of fasting is a discipline that can assist anyone in becoming a prayer warrior for God and improving their spiritual fitness. It is a common misconception that Christians do not need to be disciplined. Nevertheless, we strengthen ourselves by the practice of spiritual activities. We must always keep in mind that we are warriors assigned to Christ. A good soldier is knowledgeable in a number of different aspects of the military. Just one of the numerous disciplines that a Christian must do is fasting. The practice of fasting, much like ascending a mountain, is taxing on both the spiritual and bodily levels. Before you go on this journey, make sure you have a complete comprehension of what you are doing and are aware that the path that lies ahead may be challenging, but the rewards that you will receive will be well worth the effort. If this is your first time fasting, begin with a tiny amount. God will celebrate your initial step of faith, which may seem insignificant to others, but will be one of the most significant steps of your life. At the same time, God is worried about the reaction of your heart while you are fasting. Keeping a positive mindset is a very important aspect of your fast. When a guy makes a proposal to a woman, it is not the length of his proposal that determines whether or not he will receive a yes, but rather his heart. That being said, when you begin your fast, you shouldn't be concerned about how long your fast should last. It is important that you make sure that your relationship with God is in great operating order. God is aware of everything that is going on. To a greater extent than the length of your prayers, He comprehends and appreciates the sincerity with which you pray. If you have never fasted before, you should begin with a fast consisting of skipping one meal. According to the Old Testament, Jews were obligated to abstain from food and drink for a single day known as Yom Kippur. In accordance with the Jewish calendar, the beginning of a day was at sundown, and it concluded immediately after nightfall the following day. The Jewish people found out how to calculate their days from God. In other words, the first day consisted of the evening and the morning. Genesis 1, 5 and 4. You should make it a point to begin your fast either as the sun goes set or a little bit before the sun goes down, respectively. This indicates that you are going to skip the typical meal that you eat in the evening, and then you are going to skip breakfast and lunch the next day. A typical supper was consumed by the majority of Jews after the sun had set, which marked the end of their fast. You should invite another person to pray and fast with you if you are fasting in order to receive a specific answer to your prayers. Strength can be found in large numbers. His words can be found in Matthew 18:18-19. Everything that you bind on earth will also be bound in heaven, and everything that you free on earth will be loosed in heaven. This is a promise that I make to you. I want to reiterate that I am telling you the truth when I say that if two of you on earth agree about anything that they ask for, then my Father in heaven will grant their request. Not only do these passages speak about prayer, but they also speak about the commitment that we make in agreement with another person, a fasting with a purpose. In the process of getting ready to fast, you should dig deep within your heart to discover the reason that you are fasting. Please compile a list of your causes. It is important that you write it down so that you can see it with your own eyes. When a cause is kept in your mind for an extended period of time, it has the potential to become hazy or unclear. It is possible that you have a broad notion about the reasons why you should fast right now. Yet you should make the effort to write down your ideas. If you see it written down, it will help you concentrate more effectively. Prepare for everything. You shouldn't go into your fast with a careless mindset or a hit-or-miss mentality. Make a strategy to achieve success. Regardless of the circumstances, you should make a solid commitment to abstain from food and drink for one day. How long does a fast last? Varieties of fasting, the fastest of all time. This is a fast in which you do not consume any food or water at any time. Paul observed this kind of fast for a period of 3 days after he was stricken blind by the sight of the Lord Jesus when he was traveling to Damascus across the desert. And Paul, who had been blind for 3 days, did not consume any food or drink during that time. This is Acts 9:9. Avoid adhering to the absolute fast throughout your initial period of fasting. Individuals who are experiencing extreme anguish or who are fasting in order to find a solution to a significant issue such as being delivered from an addiction or being protected from a spiritual adversary are the target audience for this fast. The fasting standard. Over the course of this fast, you will not consume any solid foods and will only consume liquids. In the Bible, the term fasting is most frequently used to refer to individuals who abstain from consuming solid food. The problem of consuming liquids is the one that is typically ignored. Jesus did not consume any food during those days. Following that, when they had come to an end, he found himself famished. 4:2 of Luke. Jesus is not mentioned to have consumed any liquids in the Bible. What kinds of beverages do individuals consume when they are fasting? There are a lot of people who have stopped drinking pleasurable beverages like soda and different kinds of fruit drinks. This is consistent with the narrative in the Old Testament of them ailing themselves and restricting their food intake. The fast in parted form. During this fast, you will not remove all liquids and solids from your diet. Instead, you will eliminate select liquids and solids. One other name for this is the Daniel fast. Regardless of which fast you decide to start with, you should always keep in mind that it is a leap of faith. Your heart is seen by God, and He will reward you in accordance with that.